Hello everyone, welcome back to Zero to Awesome Python Challenge 2021. So today we will start coding. So today the action begins. So what we gonna learn today? Let me promise you one thing. After finishing this video, you will be able to work with a lot of Python projects very easily. Yes, we'll not be working with data science projects right now, but after this you will be able to create your own use cases and work on it using Python, and you will be able to create a lot of application. We will be discussing a lot of use cases. We will be coding and we will try to solve those use cases using the code we learn. Then we will create a chatbot, virtual assistant, then we will also go through interview questions. In the coding, what we will learn the concepts and then we will code. So in the coding, first we will deal with the basic and then we will try to solve a use case, or you can say a real-time problem statement, and how we can do that with the help of coding. So suppose I'm learning a concept, I've learned the concept and then I will try to apply in the real life. So these are the promises I'm going to make you, that after this you will be able to code. You are actually a coder, Python coder. And you will be able to think and you will be able to create your own applications. So without further ado, let's start. Yes, one more thing, that we will provide interview question, we will provide complete notes, code exercises, and we will also provide challenges. So you will be provided a challenge and you need to finish that challenge. And if you finish it, we will provide a participation certificate, and the winner of the challenge will get special rewards. Okay, so let's start learning all the concepts, and then we will solve a lot of exercises. We will solve 50 plus exercises, code exercises today. And after that, we will also create our own chatbot, virtual assistant, with whatever we have learned so far. And then we will talk about the challenge, and then we will do the interview questions and we will revise. So let's get started. So the first thing is variable. This is the most basic thing in a coding, that whenever we are starting to code, we have to declare a variable. Now let's think, what is variable? So variable is a label or a name given to a certain location in the memory. So you can see here, x is a variable and 1 is a value. So if I have to say it in a very simple term, I'll say variable is a temporary memory location where we store our value. You can make your notes also while we are going. We will be going in a slow pace so that you can grasp all the concept. So in the left side, whenever we are coding, we'll declare the variable name, which will hold the value which we are declaring. So you can see this is a big expression. This is an expression. So here we are having expression and we are declaring at 5. So means when we have declared a variable, we can use it in expression. So operator and constants. So I hope this is clear. Let's try to simplify it a little bit more in layman terms. So you can think of variable as a bag. In Hindi it is called as thela. So it is a bag that carries information that later can be used for further processing. For example, we carry vegetables, fruits, food items in the bag. Okay, so this is for temporary. This is temporary. But the final processing what we have to do is the cooking, right? So it is a temporary place where we are holding our values so that we can use it in the final processing. Okay, so now when we are clear with the variables, now let's jump into data types. So data types means type of data. We have declared x is equal to 1. So x is a variable name and 1 is the value which is its holding. So data type means type of data. It indicates what kind of data variable we are storing. So variable can store data of different types. Different types can do different things. For example, x is equal to 1. So this is a number data. So what we can do with numeric data, we can do plus, minus, multiplication, or division, etc. Suppose it would have been a name. Okay, this is a name. So what are the things we can do with name type of data? Basically it is called string. So what we can do with string type of data, we can do we can convert the data ki shiksha into complete lower form. So it will be like data ki shiksha. We can break it. So if I just want only data from there, so that I can do. So I can do all these operations using the string kind of data. So that what it means by different types can do different things. So what are the different type of data types we have? So we have already seen string. How it works. Then we have talked about numeric types of data, int, float, complex. Then we have sequences types, that is list, tuple, range. And then we have dictionary, set, pros instead, boolean, byte array, memory. The most important ones are string, int, float, list, tuple, range, dictionary, set, and boolean. These are those ones which we will be looking into it, and these are the most important ones, and these are mostly used in programming application. Okay, so before moving to further slides, let's start coding, because that is the most important thing. If we have learned the concept, if we are not able to use it in the practical way, it won't be helpful. So let's get started. So this contains all the programs which are related to all the concepts which we have studied. So I'm using a Colab where I'm running all the my Python files. Basically, this is .ipynb format file, and I'm running it on Colab. If you don't have a system, if you have a system but it doesn't have that good quality, then we can use Colab. Okay, so I'm using Colab here. You can also use your system, like whatever installation process we have already taught before, or you can go with the Colab. Fine, let's get started. The first is how to declare a variable and print it. This is the first program. So I have declared a variable a which is equal to 5. It's a very simple program. You guys can also start doing it with me. Wherever you want, you can just pause the video and execute it. Okay, now we're gonna declare a variable and print it. This is a string type. and now I'm going to print the value, so you can see. So the name variable is carrying the value data ki shiksha string. So now we have just understood the basics and how basically we define the variable. Now let's try to understand it, what is actually the use and how we can actually visualize this in real time. So I have a very small function program. This program contains length of the garden and breadth of the garden. So I've declared the length as 60, breadth as 20. Okay. And this is BODMAS. So I will talk about BODMAS rules. Basically, these are the mathematical rules. So it's saying how long the fencing wire should be. This is my problem statement. I know the length of the garden, I know the breadth of the garden, and now I should be able to find out that how long the fencing wire should be. So for that I will use perimeter of the garden, and after calculating it I found the perimeter is 160. So maybe it's 160 meter fencing wire I needed. So in this way you can use the basic concepts in the real time. So this would have helped you to solve real time use cases, how we actually use these variables and how it is able to give you the answer. Okay, let's go back to the slides. So we'll talk about BODMAS. BODMAS, a lot of people also know BODMAS as PEDMAS. So let me first see what B stands for and all these things stands for. So B is bracket, O is off, D is division, M is multiplication, and A is addition, and S is subtraction. So now we know what BODMAS stands for and what each letter represent. Let us know the significance of it. So the significance of it, that whenever an expression is getting executed, okay, whenever an expression is getting executed, it follows BODMAS. So the first preference is given to this, and then the preference keep on decreasing. So the last preference will be for S. And in the Python, if you will see, in BODMAS, multiplication comes after division, right? But in Python, division and multiplication are given the same preference. For example, suppose this is expression okay. So how it will process this? 30 minus it, first the division will come because D has more preference, the division has more preferences compared to subtraction. So it will be 30 minus 2 and the result will be 28. Okay. Before moving further, let's talk about subscript. What is subscript? So we've already talked about string. Okay. So we have declared a string. Okay. Strings are always within quotes. Single quotes, double quotes, even triple quotes. So we'll see it more in the coding. So subscript is basically blocks. Suppose we have this data is there and let us see a memory representation. Okay, on and on. So suppose I want only this part from there. So this all are in one block. So subscript means this. If I say S0, it means I want the sequence of character, or you can say I want the information which is placed inside this variable S in the 0th location. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, dot dot dot. So S0 will give us D. Suppose I want the complete data. So I'll say 0, which is the starting point, and I will count till where I want. It's 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I will say till 4. So means 4 is not inclusive. 0 to 4, anything between 0 to 4, I want that. So it will give us data. Okay. This similarly, if I want for number, so I have a list. Like this. Okay. Let's move on. So we are clear with why we need a variable, how to work with variable, what are the data types of variable. We have seen what is integer kind of variable. This is float. So we will now look after float. We have already seen what is a str, which is string type of variable. We have seen what is integer type of variable. Now let us talk about what is a float type of variable. So float type of variable is like is basically numerical data, and with it has float. Basically, it has decimal. Suppose our use case is you have 100 rupees, and we are using Google Pay, and we have to divide among the people. So how we will do that? Person is 6, and you have 100 rupees, and you have to divide how much each person has to pay. So money by persons, if you have a Google Pay. So it is telling us 16.666. But suppose your scenario is different. You have 100 rupees and you have to pay through cash. You know how you will do it. For that, now we were using just division. When you just use division, so there is a chance that it will actually give you a float value. But if you use this double /, then it will give you an integer value. Okay, next question. And now we know what is data type and what is a variable, and we know few data types already. But if you want to know what kind of data you are storing in, you can use the keyword type. So just type type, and inside the small bracket just say x or the variable name. I have here declared x is equal to 5, which we know that it is an integer type. And if I want to know what type of data any variable is holding, I have to use the keyword type. So it will say that it is an integer type. Similarly, this should show that it is a float type. And now we will, like I have already said, whenever we are defining a string, we can define the string, basically the string is actually a sequence of information. So you can define it in single quote, double quote, or triple, based on uh, what is your need. So in triple, the benefit is, if your data is too long and you know you're gonna take multiple lines, this works. So you can see here is three. I've actually as 4 lines, and it's not giving me error. But if you will do with the single quote or double quote or multiple lines, when you are actually assigning the string, it will show error. So all these are string. Let's check it. Yeah, all these are string. Okay. So now we will talk about list, tuple, and set. These are actually one of the most important data types which most of the Python programmers work in day-to-day life. So for example, let's see how it actually is. Basically all these are there to hold the values that user is defining. Basically all these are like some backs. You can just for now just think of them some backs which will hold number of values. So now let us understand it, that when all these things, these data types we have to use in what kind of scenarios. So the first is we will go on and try to understand what is a list. So basically list is just like an array. The only difference in list and array is that in array is actually homogeneous and list is not homogeneous. People who don't know what is homogeneous, let me tell you. Homogeneous means similar. So suppose in array, if I am declaring an array of numbers, it will only hold numbers. But in list, we can hold numbers also, we can hold string also, we can hold multiple data types. So I'm declaring a list. It's very easy to declare. Inside, we have to declare a list in the square bracket, and there just put the items. Okay. So here the items is one string, milk, tomatoes, onions, potatoes. So basically I have declared a grocery variable which is a list, and it is holding this information. So if I print it, if I want to know the type, do the type also. Okay, so it's saying it's a list. So suppose the scenario is you have to go and buy groceries from the shop. So you have made a list. So your list contains milk, tomato, onions, potatoes. But then you forgot to buy oil. And your mom messages you like, you need to buy oil also. So what you're going to do? You will add it in your existing list. So how to add it? If you want to add any new item in the existing list, you have to use this keyword called append. So and then in the small bracket, in the parenthesis, you have to add the item which you want to add in the list. So here I want to add oil. So I have added it. And now if I click on it, you can see that my old list has been updated. This is how list works. The benefit of list is that first of all it can contain different type of data types, where whatever data types you want to store values, you can store it in the list, and you can basically keep on altering the existing list. The second is I'm declaring a tuple. This is actually a tuple. So tuple is also very similar to list. The only difference is when in the initialization phase where we are using square bracket for the list. Here we are using only simple parenthesis. So here we are adding Nutella, sauce, Maggi food. These are the junk foods I want to add in my grocery list. So you can see these are the things that have been added. In the list, when I forgot to add the oil in the groceries list, I was able to append it later on. But will I be able to do the same thing with the tuple? No. Tuple object has no attribute add or append. Let us use the word append. No, it doesn't have an attribute append. What does it mean? That we cannot alter the tuple which we have created. So once it is created, once you have defined the values in it, you cannot alter it. So what this basically called? There is a term called mutable and non-mutable. So mutable means you can actually alter it. Non-mutable means you cannot alter it. So tuple is non-mutable, list is mutable. So whenever you're declaring in a list and if you are assigning it to a value which is not there, and we have declared already 5 items, and in the fifth place there is no value. Basically fifth means 6 because the index starts from 0, so fifth means the 6th position. So it will say list assignment index out of range because we cannot just declare it like this. Once you have to append it, you cannot declare it for some new index. It will say list index out of range. If you have any questions so far, just drop it in the comment section or directly talk with us using our app. So you can see the tuple, we are not able to add it. But suppose if you want to if you want to find a value, like if you want to print the variable where the information which is present inside tuple or list, you can use the subscript and you can find it. So you just have to provide the location, basically the index number, and you can be able to get that value. Okay, so you can see in tuple, junk food is a tuple and it has 3 values inside it: Nutella, sauce and Maggi. I want to print the value, show the value which is at the first position. So first doesn't mean first, basically it means the first position here is the 0th position, and then it is the first, and then is the second. So basically 1, when I'm saying it means the second position, as the index starts from the 0. Junk food. So you can see how the tuple works. But if suppose if you want to just change the value, before you can see that when we would try to assign value at this 5th, basically the 6th position, it was giving us error and it was throwing in out of index error. But if you want to just change the value for the location which has already been assigned, you will be able to do it by just specifying the location. So you have specified the location. It says that milk, tomatoes, onion, potato, oil is there, and I want to change what is in the fifth position. So I'm providing the subscript at 4. So what I want to do, that oil, I want to change the oil to mustard oil. So you can see now we have successfully updated our oil to mustard oil in the grocery list. So we are clear here so far. Now we will talk about one more important data type, which is dictionary. So in dictionary, it's very like how we actually read a normal dictionary. It is not like that. Here we store a key value pair. So for example, you have a box and you have a key, and with that key only your box will get open. So that's what dictionary is all about. To understand it more, let's try to let's try to implement a scenario. This is a classroom scenario. So here what we are doing, that we are storing a classroom in the dictionary variable. We're not going to be going to a very complicated scenario. We will try to keep it simple. So we have declared a dictionary. So when we how to declare a dictionary will have like curly braces. So it means you have declared a dictionary, and then we have to start assigning it. This kind of assignment was not there in tuple or list, but here in dictionary we do it like this. If we want to store a value, we need to provide a dictionary name, then we have to provide subscript, and then what position, basically the key, not position, basically the key. So here I am saying classroom 1 is the key, the number is a key, and there the value is Sonali. Classroom 2 is the key, the value is Ankur. Classroom subscript 3, and the value is Sanath. So if we print it, it is saying classroom. So the 1 is the key and its value is Sonali. So suppose 1 is the key. If a box is there and inside that box Sonali is written, so with the help of 1, which is the key, I will be able to open the box, and inside that I will get this value. So basically, why I have stored 1, 2, 3. You can store even strings also. You can store even float also. I'm just storing 1, 2, 3 because I'm trying to make a class, and in that 1, 2, 3 are the roll numbers. So Sonali have the roll number 1, 2, Ankur have 2, and Sanath has 3. So if in the class, for example, when your paper is checked, your roll number is written. With the help of the roll number, student name, and student name, we can find that who is the student who has written this paper. So that's why. Okay, so if you want to just find the keys, you can just use this function like classroom, not function, basically classroom.keys. This is the keyword actually. And then if you want to find who has most marks, or like I said, how you will find the person using the roll number, it's just like you have to, because these 1, 2, 3 are the roll numbers, I will just use the dictionary name and I will pass the roll number inside it, and it will give me the name of the student. So are we clear with this? If we just want to know all the values what is stored in the classroom, we can use classroom.values. If we want to basically iterate or find both the key and the value, basically the roll number and the student name, we have to use this keyword dot items. So it will go and find all the items which are present in the dictionary. Print KB. Okay. Okay. Hi, we will quickly cover some operators. So what is operators? A plus B is equal to 0. So A is operand, B is operand, and plus is operator. Okay. So we have operators like the normal operators like plus, minus, multiplication, division. This division, and this so the difference between this division and this division is that this one, like 10 by 2, it will give you 5.0. However, 10 by 3 will give you 3.33. But if you do like 10 by 3, it will give you just 3. Okay, so it doesn't give you float value, it gives you the integer value. Then we have this one. So basically what it does, 10, it's called as mod. So 10 mod 3 is what? It doesn't give you dividend, it gives you remainder. So if 10 is divided by 3, the remainder will be 1. Okay, cool. Then suppose we have a value like a is equal to 3.5, and we know that it is an integer type, and we want to convert it into float. Oh, sorry, this is float type, and we want to convert it into integer. What we have to do? Int 3.5. So it will give you a value 3. Okay, or 4. So this is how we can convert it. So a lot of times what happens that you have a number 2, 3, and converting it into a string. So like it will give you a value 2, 3. Now it is a string. Got it? So in this way you can convert all the data types: int, float, string, into different types using just use the data type and just pass the function, pass the variable you want to convert it. Okay, so some points to remember. What great in Python is that we do not have to explicitly state what type of variable we want to define, as it can be any type: string, integer, float, etc. So what is the meaning of that? If you have worked on programming languages like C, Java, you know that we have to declare the data type, and then we can assign the values. Okay, but in Python this you don't have to do it. If you just have to assign the value, you don't have to declare it with the name like integer or float. It will automatically understand at what kind of variable you're declaring it. Achha. Second is, assigning an initial value to a variable is called initializing the variable. So what is initialization? Okay, so initialization in English means basically something in the beginning. So initialization, initial state, we are declaring a variable, we are assigning a value to it in the beginning. That is initializing the variable. And the third thing is, the part to the left of the assignment operator is the variable name, and the right side is value. So this is clear so far, that x will be in the left side, and it is the variable, and value will be in the right side. Okay. Before moving forward, let's Okay, before moving forward, we will just have a quick recap of whatever we have done so far. So the first thing is that what's great in Python is that we do not have to explicitly say that what kind of variable we want to define. It means if you have worked on programming languages like C, C++, Java, you know we have to declare a variable like this. So we have to state that what kind of variable we are declaring, we're going to use. But in the Python, this step, we don't have to do it. Python does it for us. Means if I say a is equal to 5, it automatically understands that I am actually using integer type of data, basically a numerical data. So it automatically understands. Suppose now I'm using a is equal to ss, it basically understands that now it is a string data. Then the second thing is assigning an initial value to a variable is called initializing the variable. Okay, suppose a is equal to 0 and then I'm using a plus 5. So a equals to 0 is initializing the variable. Like the English meaning of initializing is beginning, basically. So in the beginning, whenever we are actually assigning a value, that is initializing the variable. The third thing is we already know that the variable name will be in the left side and the value will be in the right side. This is variable and this is value. Okay. Fine. So now we will just have a quick recap of the data types which we have studied. So integer, float, string. These are the basic ones and these are clear. These are clear hopefully. The new one which we have studied, basically the data structure, the user data structure, like list, tuple, dictionary. This is tuple. Dictionary. Sorry for my bad handwriting. Okay. So we will just revise. First of all, how it is declared. Second, what kind of data. Third, we will just see how, we'll just example. Okay, so list is declared like this, like a is equal to square bracket. What kind of data stored in list? Basically homogeneous. No guys, it's not homogeneous. Okay, I'm just testing you. It's heterogeneous. You guys have to tell me, otherwise it will be boring if I just keep on telling. Second is tuple. So tuple will be a is equal to a small parenthesis. Okay, and what kind of data? Same as list. Dictionary. In dictionary, we will store it like this. Curly braces. Is also same. Example. A is equal to in list 1 SS 0.5. For example of list. Tuple 2 0.5. Dictionary will be A and then the key value, basically the key and then the value. Example, suppose roll number student name. Okay, list is mutable, means we can actually alter it. Tuple is not. Dictionary, yeah, we can alter it. Fine. So where we can use list? We can use list in the places where we know that wherever we're storing the values, it can keep on changing. For example, grocery, or for example, uh, wherever. Suppose you have a new class and the students will keep on coming. So in that place, you can use list. Where tuple is stored? Tuple where you know that once you have stored the value, it's not going to change. For example, I have husband and wife. Tuple. It's not going to change. Husband wife will be the same. Maybe the wife will or husband they will change, but it will be not like husband wife 1 wife 2 or husband and wife. It's not going to happen. In dictionary will be wherever we want a key value pair type of setting. For example, you want to store the results. So result of Sonali is 100. Result of Geeta is 50. So if I want to find which student has how many, basically with the help of key you will be able to find the value. I hope it is clear. Let's go to the other one. So function. So okay, now we are going to a little bit more serious coding now. So let's pay more concentration. So a function is a block of code which can run and it is called. Before that we were just writing line. Okay, but what if we have a block of code that we have to use in a lot of other situations, a lot of other places. For example, I want to make a function, basically write a code to find square of a number of 10 numbers or of a number so basically it will be x is equal to x into x, square of x is x into s. This is my function. This is the block of code I have to execute it. So my first number is 7, so I will be like 7 into 7, it will be 9 into 9. It will keep on going. I have to write the same code, same logic again and again. But what happens in a function, because a block of code is there, I will name this block of code as something and then I just can keep on calling it. Like, okay, suppose for the square one, now have square. Okay, and I will just pass the value and will give me the square. Right? It's easy. I don't have to do every time 7 into 7. Or if I want to find basically any more complicated function block of code also, I don't have to do every time. So that is the power of function. Like basically it helps in reusability of code. Okay, so you can pass the data known as parameters into the function. So for example, this is basically the parameter. A function can return the data as a result. Function blocks begin with the keyword def followed by the function name and the parenthesis. Okay. The function, whenever we are defining a function, we have to use the keyword def. So def, the function name, a parenthesis. Basically In every function, this parenthesis is mandatory. Then you can pass arguments if you want, otherwise just leave it. Then write some block of code and you can do that, and you can then return the value. Fine. Now we will talk about pass by value, but before that, let's try to understand how to work with the function. So we have already seen that there is a keyword whenever we are declaring a function. So we have to use the keyword def, def, then the function name, a parenthesis. Here we have to provide the parameters and then a colon. And after that, we cannot start typing here. This is basically a block of code. And you know that Python works on indentation. So it is very strict about indentation. So whenever we have this colon, it means after that, whatever statement we're gonna put, it has to follow an indentation. So this is my margin. So I will take some space from here. Recommended is basically 4 spaces. But if you use a different spaces also, it will not give you error. And here I will type my function, basically the statements which I want, and then I will return a value. If I don't return a value, then the only thing which it returns is basically the control. So the control, when you call this function, how you will call this is function name. This is basically function calling. So when you're calling this function, the control will go to this function. So it will return back the control. Okay, so it always return back the control, and if you are returning some value, it will return back the value. So where we will use the function, let's take an example. We want to add 2 numbers. Or let's take this one only. So define def add numbers. I need 2 numbers, so that's why I will declare 2 parameters, a, b. So a will hold the value of the first parameter and b will hold the value of the second parameter. Then I will take some indentation and I will write sum is equal to a plus b. I'll have to add 2 numbers and I'm return sum. See, my function has been done. So now I want to call. Suppose I want to call add numbers. So I have this number x is equal to 10, y is equal to 20, and I want to print the numbers. Basically the sum of x and y. So I will call this function add s, and I will pass the value x, y, and it will print 10 plus 20, so 30. Okay, so you can see I have passed the value. So pass by value, what basically it happens when I'm not passing the x and y completely. It is making a copy of x and y, whatever value is stored in x and y, 10 and 20. Now a, when I pass it, a will have 10 and b will have 20, and then it will do an addition and it will return the sum. It doesn't mean that we are actually working with directly x and y. So x is a memory location, y is memory location, and inside the function I have a and y, b. So x is 10 y is 20, even if I put like a is equal to a minus 5, it becomes basically 5, and b is 20. But x won't change, because here I'm just making a copy and I'm passing it to the function. So it is passed by value. Means passed by value will cause a copy of that value to be created and stored in the memory. Do you get it? If I have to give a layman example, the example I'll give you that teacher has prepared notes and she has given to student the copy of the notes. So if the student is making some changes in the copy of the notes, that those changes are not going to get reflected in the original notes of the teacher. So that is pass by value. Pass by reference means we are providing an argument to a function. By reference means that the argument we are passing to the function is the reference to the value that already exists in the memory rather than an independent copy of that variable. So if it is little tough for you to understand, let's try to break it down and understand this concept. So pass by value, what was that? That I was just passing the copy into the function. Okay, here what I am doing that I'm directly passing the original value. Let's take that teacher example again. Now the teacher is passing the original notes to the student. So if the student messes the notes, the original notes will be changed or altered or messed up. So that is pass by reference. So pass by reference is actually works with list tuple, like which holds a lot of value, not a single value. So whenever we are actually passing it, so it basically changes the original copy. Means this is my x, this is a list, and I pass it as a reference to the function. So it is actually the function is referencing my original list. If it makes the changes, for example, it updates the first value, which is the 0th location, the first location, to 20. So it actually will become 20 and it will not stay as 0. That is pass by reference. Okay, now let's talk about default argument. A default argument is an argument that assumes a default value. The value is not provided in the function call for that argument. What does it mean? So whenever we know that how a normal function works, we just have to use a keyword diff, then we have to use a function name, then we have to make a parenthesis. We can declare actually a parameter inside it. If we don't want, we just leave it as it is, then a colon, then we have to follow an indentation, and then we have to write the steps, and then we have to return it. So default argument means that we are actually passing a value here, which is a default value. If the user, suppose a is equal to 5, if the user is not passing the value, it will take a is equal to 5 as it is. If I provide 10, a will get updated to 10. So that is default argument. So if the user is not providing the parameter, whatever the default argument which has been provided in the parameter inside the parenthesis, it will take that. Okay, let's move to the next part, variable length argument. Sometimes what happens that we need to process a function which can have multiple argument, and we don't know how many argument we need the user gonna provide. So these arguments are called variable length arguments and are not named in the function definition, unlike required and default argument. So we will see it in the coding so that we can understand it with more depth. Then we will talk about anonymous function. Okay, so anonymous function is, these functions are called anonymous functions because they are not declared in the standard manner using the def keyword. As we know that whenever we are declaring a function, we need this def keyword. We are here, instead of def, we are using lambda keyword to create small anonymous functions. So lambda forms can take number of arguments but return just one value in the form of the expression. As we know that in normal function we can return multiple values. So we can return a, b, sum. So for example, when I will call a function, suppose the function name was fun, so I can have basically x, y, sum, and it will give me all three values. But in the lambda function, basically lambda anonymous functions, we can just return one value. They cannot contain multiple commands or multiple expressions. An anonymous function cannot be direct call to a print because lambda requires an expression. As we know that in a lot of function we just have to like print and the function name and it just prints a value, but that we cannot do with anonymous function, because an anonymous function cannot be a direct call to a print because it requires an expression. Lambda function have their own local names space and cannot access variable other than those in their parameter list and those in the global namespace. What is local and the global, we will study little later in the coming slides. So let's get back to coding and we will see few examples of data types again. So here we will going to discuss nested dictionary. So if you have to understand the concept of nested, it is very similar to, you have a big box and inside that big box there is one more box, and inside that box there is one more box, and it will keep on going and going. So that is actually the concept of nested. Let's try to understand that with a real-time example, a real life small, we are trying to stimulate a real-time example. So this is a dictionary cricket. So cricket is a variable which is a dictionary type, and here I have stored the information of the information of the code, information of the basically the players. These are the players. So Virat is a player and he has scored 1000 runs. He has 500 matches. He has like average run of 67. I'm not very good with these numbers, so let's take me as an example. So you can see cricket is the dictionary and the key is Virat, and in Virat I am storing another dictionary and which has like a key of runs, matches, average run. So I'm storing a dictionary within a dictionary. Similarly, the key Dhoni also has a dictionary and it has variables like run, matches, keys like run, matches, and average runs. So I'm storing a dictionary within dictionary. Here I'm let us see how it basically looks. So as you can see, this is the structure. Dhoni is the key. Inside there is a dictionary. Inside the dictionary there is an average run, matches, runs. And suppose I want to know that how many matches Dhoni has played. So Dhoni is the key of the dictionary cricket. So I'll put Dhoni as a key. And then there is one more dictionary. The value has a dictionary. And I want to reference the matches value. So I'll write, which is the keys here is matches. So I'll just put matches. And here you can see it is able to give me how many matches Dhoni has played. Okay, so this is how we use nested dictionary. This is just an example. You can try to use it in the application wherever you want and wherever it is required. So this is tuple. We already discussed it, revised it also. The tuple is actually a non-mutable data type, and we actually use it. We specify the value within the parenthesis. Then this is my set. This is a set. So set is also non-mutable. The difference between set and the tuple is set doesn't hold the redundant values. Redundant values mean duplicate values. If you will see here, I have stored 3 twice. But if I print the set, you can see it's only taking one time 3. So when it will be useful? It will be useful. And when it is required, it will be required, and it will be useful in those cases where you don't need redundant data. For example, there's a classroom, and so basically not a classroom. Basically, you can see there is a coaching center, and one person has taken chemistry classes and the same person has also taken physics classes. So I don't have to store that person's roll number twice in the main register. Okay, that person is the same person, so it doesn't have to, like, even taking the 2 classes, the same person, so I don't have to store the information twice of that person in the register. So there set will be required. Then there is one more data type which we have not talked about. This is Boolean data type. So Boolean is holds 2 values, true or false. So suppose I am best. I have assigned this variable as true. So when I print it, the value will be true. This is Boolean type. And it is basically used to check conditions. For suppose I want to print 5 is greater than 2. It's basically, I'm asking it, is 5 greater than 2? So it will print yes, true. I will then ask, is 5 greater than 10? So it is not a correct statement, so it will say false. So basically Boolean has 2 values, true or false. Now we will see code related to functions. So whatever we have discussed so far in the functions part, let's try to see how it is actually implemented, how it will be implemented in the coding part. So example, there is this program greeting. So I have declared a function, my greeting, and I'm passing and there is a basically argument there, and I'm printing good morning, basically, which is a string, and then comma, and then this name, which is the variable, whatever value it will be storing, it will print that, and have a great day. Okay. So I declared my function. Suppose now I have to pass the value here. So I'm here passing the value Miss Lal, and now it is printing good morning. It is taking the value from here, pass by value, and then it is printing the statement. Okay, so this function can be used in, suppose, as anytime a new person logs into the website, and if the person tells what the name is. If they are asked that please enter your name, so you enter your name and then this function will be called. So good morning, the person name, and have a great day. So there could be 100 or 1,000 of people accessing that website, and they all will have the greetings with their name. So isn't that wonderful? Function is very useful because it helps in code reusability. Okay, next function. Function definition is here. So here we will talk about pass by reference. As I told you, in pass by value, we just are passing the values as copy, but in pass by reference, we are actually passing the exact location of the information we have stored in. So if we are changing it, actual value will be changed. Here I am passing my list, and I'm calling this function change me. So whenever I'm changing here, like I have told, if there is a data type like list, it will actually change it in pass by reference, not by pass by value. So the values inside the function were it has appended basically. So I was passing 10, 20, 30, it has appended 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has changed inside the function also, outside the function also. But this is different. For example, there we were not declaring it again. Okay, there we were not declaring it again. Here we are declaring it. My list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I'm printing it, values inside the function, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I'm here passing it my list, so while values outside the function is 10, 20, 30. Okay, so what is happening here? Try to understand it. So this is a list. It has these values. I'm passing it to a function change me, and I'm passing this list here. This list is the actually a local variable to this function. What is local and what is global, we will discuss it, but if I have to tell you in a very short way, local is whatever variables we declare inside a block, and it is accessible for that block. That is local variable. Global is we are declaring a variable which can be used for every block, everywhere in the code. That is the global one. So here I'm passing my list here. So it has gone till here. Now I'm actually again assigning a new value. So this will assign a new reference. So now my list here, when I'm assigning a new value, it means here I have changed it. Here I have actually, now it is not a global variable, now it is a local variable. So when I will be printing it, values inside the function, it will say 1, 2, 3, 4 rather than 10, 20, 30. And this is the reason the values outside the functions are not changed, because here in the function we have just worked with the local variable, not with the global variable. If it's not that clear, then also it's normal. So if you want to find that which is the local and which is the global one, you can find it using the address. So ID, whenever you are ID of the variable, it means you want to find where that variable is stored. So it will give you the address of that variable. With the help of that, you can find out that you are referencing this global variable or you are referencing the local variable. Okay, moving on. Now we will try to understand multiple values return. So we have already discussed that we can return multiple values. For example, here I'm returning 1 and 2. So A, B is equal to multiple return. So if I just print it, so A is having the value 1 and B is having the value 2. We can do a multiple return in a function. So now we will talk about local and global scope. Okay, let's get back to the slides. So what is scope? The part of the program where a variable is accessible is called a scope. Means the part of the program where a variable is accessible. What does the mean of accessible? It means wherever we can actually use the variable, and that is the scope. Variables that are defined inside a function body have a local scope, and those defined outside have a global scope. What do you mean by local and global? Local, which can be used locally, global, which can be used globally. As simple as that. This means that the local variables can be accessed only inside the function in which they are declared. Okay, this is important. Only inside the function in which they are declared. Whereas global variables can be accessed throughout the program body by all the functions. When you call a function, the variables declared inside it are brought into scope. Okay. Whenever you define a variable within a function, its scope only lies within the function. For example, let's create a function. Define So I have declared a function, my function. I have a name, declared a local variable name, and I have assigned a value, senorita there, and I'm printing this name. So it will print senorita if I call this function my function. Here I'm calling it. So it will print senorita. Okay. Suppose I want to print name again outside this function. I'll say print and name. You know what it will print? Error. Okay. It will say that there is no variable name. Why? Because the life of this variable was inside this only. Outside it, it doesn't exist. So that is the local scope. What is the global scope? Whenever a variable is defined outside any function, it becomes a global variable, and its scope is anywhere within the program, which means it can be used by any function. For example, let's say sum is equal to 0. Or you can say let's not take 0, let's take 10. So define left over value 1, and I will return value 1 minus sum. So it will be able to take this value. in the sum. Suppose I will call leftover and I'm passing 100. So what it will do, whenever I'm passing this, it will go here and it will be like 100 because val1 I have passed it as 100, and sum will be 10 because I have declared it globally. Globally means outside a function. It becomes a global variable and scope is anywhere. Okay, so we are clear with global scope. Now let's talk about global keyword. With global, you're telling Python to use the globally defined variable instead of locally creating one. To use the keyword, simply type global followed by the variable name. So if I want to declare like this is sum is equal to 10. Now I have a function new sum. Okay, so I can say global and I will say sum. So I want to use the global variable sum. So it is now directly referencing this variable. So whatever changes I will do, for example, I'll say sum is equal to sum plus 10. So this, now if I print sum outside the function after calling new sum, suppose I call this function, it has updated the value of the sum. Now it will print sum as 20. Okay, we will see it how it works in while coding. Then there is this thing called non-local keyword. This is another handy keyword that allows us to work more flexibly and tidily with variable scope. The non-local keyword is useful in the nested function. It causes the variable to refer to the previously bound variable in the enclosing scope. So what is non-local keyword? It's kind of opposite to the global keyword. Means, suppose I have a nested function. Define function 1 and inside I have a defined function 2. Okay, so and here I have a variable var1. So after outside this, a space, variable 1. Suppose now I want to change something in variable 1 here. So whatever was done inside function 2, it should not reflect because it is not global. So but when we are using non-local keyword, so whatever changes have been done, suppose here I have declared it inside the function 2 as 10 and outside it was var1 was 5. So when I will printing var1 here using the word non-local, it will give us 10. Means it causes the variable to refer to the previously, this is function 2, this is a previously bound variable in the closest enclosing scope. When we'll see it in the code, it will become more clear. Okay, so before going to the looping concept, let's go back to the function, basically the scope. So this is string me passed into this function. A is equal to a plus 5. Value inside the function is a, return. Value outside the function is 6. So this is basically the pass by value which we were discussing a little bit before. So just think about it and try to understand it, what we have done. This is kind of a quick revision. I will not tell about it. You need to understand it and tell us that what you have understood it, because it's very easy. It is passed by value. We have already discussed pass by value and pass by reference. Let's go to another function. We talked about passing multiple parameters whenever we don't know multiple parameter, what kind of parameters will be used inside the function. We don't know how many parameters the user is gonna pass, so we can use this. So how it will work, you have to use this value, this basically var tuple. It means the first argument it will take, and the other whatever values you have passed. Asterisk means it can take multiple values that will be stored in var tuple. For example, here I am passing value 10, so it will gonna print 10. Argument is 10 here. In the second one, I am passing 3 values, so it is taking first the arg1 as 70 and it's taking the other ones in var tuple because I put asterisk and a value, so it's gonna take 60, 50 in var tuple. So we can pass hundred of thousands of values in this when we are declaring it like that, because we don't know how many parameters is actually required. You might be thinking, then how we will use it if we don't know how many parameters we required? Is it correct in coding? And why we will require such kind of function? So let's take a scenario where a function is there. Basically a party is there, a corporate party, and employees have been invited, but we don't know that who will come in the employee family, who will turn up. So in that scenario, this kind of multiple argument passing, unknown multiple argument passing will be beneficial. For example, the main invites will be the employee, and the guest invites will be the family members of the employees. So for here, I am passing employee's mom, dad, sister. So it is taking the main invite as the first one and taking the rest as the guest invites. Okay, see. So in that way, it's very useful, where we don't know the number of parameters in the function we're gonna process. Okay, let's now talk about the lambda function. So as we say, lambda is a kind of anonymous function. It's very easy. Let's declare it lambda. Just have to declare the keyword lambda, and then the argument arg1, arg2 is what the result will be. We can just provide one result in lambda. We can just return one value. So if we provide 2 arguments, it will give the summation of those 2 arguments. And we are naming it as sum. This is actually an anonymous function, and we are just providing a name to it, so that whenever we call it, we can just pass the value directly inside that name which we have just declared. Okay. So this is example of lambda with numerical arguments. Let's now try to use lambda in a string related problem statement. Suppose my input string is this. As you can see, there is some spaces here, 5 spaces is there, which is not required, double space is there, and I want to remove it. So what will I do? I will create a lambda function. So as you can see, in lambda function, we don't have to write, like whenever we don't need multiple statements in the function, we can directly use the lambda function. So this is the function name. This is the name where we am assigning this anonymous function, remove double space. So if the input is input string, if the input is here the input is a string, and here I'm just replacing the double quotes with the single quote. So when I'll print it now, it will have all the double quotes removed, and in that place there will be single quote. Okay, now this is a very small, like we are clear with lambda, how we can use it. Lambda is equal to a is raised to 10. We have to just use a keyword lambda, provide the variable, and in the right side what will happen to that variable. Clear, simple. And then we have to just assign it to a name so that we can just call it directly. And now we will go back to locals, which we just studied, right? It's the scope. So we'll try to discuss that. So we know local scope is there. There is a global scope. So print number, this is a function, and the local variable here is function num, which is equal to 1, and I'm printing the number, and I'm trying to print this function num outside it. So when I do it, it will say that the first num is not defined. Why it is not defined? Because this first num was just part of this function. So it is a local variable. First num is the local variable of function print number. And that's why if I'm using it or referencing it outside this block of code, I won't be able to, because its scope is only within the print number. So in the local variable, basically the life of the local variable is inside the function only. So here this is one more function to understand global scope versus local scope. Suppose there is this person and I have assigned a string value bhigi building, and I have one function house. So inside the house, the person is basically ghar ka sher. So I have the string value assigned to pin2. When I print it inside the function of house, inside the house function, it prints pin2 is ghar ka sher inside the house. But when I try to print it outside the house, it says print2 is bhigi building. So in that way you understand what is local versus global. Just like in the local and the house, maybe we all feel we're the best. We are, we are not scared of anyone. But outside we're like, no. So in that is the thing. So local, whatever happens in local, this doesn't affect globally, unless you're using words like global or non-local. Yes, talking about the global keyword, let's understand it. Okay, now we have one more function. Pin2 is hardworking. Pin2 is pin2. Outside the house, pin2 is pin2. Okay, so this is the similar kind of function. I'll give you just a few seconds to see it and understand it. I don't think I have to explain more in this. Okay, so I hope you understood it, what here is happening, because pin2 outside I have declared it, so it's a global variable now. So if I'm using inside the local function, inside the function, I'll be able to use this global variable. That's why when I'm executing inside, then I'm also getting the same value, hardworking, and outside also whenever I'm doing the same value, because it's referencing what? It's referencing this global variable pin2, and whose the value which is stored inside the string value, which is hardworking. So there's one more function to understand it. So greeting is, suppose namaste, and there is a greeting world. So world is world and print is greeting world. Greeting name is greeting and it's the name. So when I'm calling greeting world function, so it's taking greeting as this global variable, from this global variable, and the value is namaste, and here the world is taking from this local variable and it's printing namaste world. And in greeting name I'm passing the parameter, basically the argument is earth, so the name will get assigned and its value will be earth, string earth, and the greeting it will take from the global variable namaste and it will print this namaste earth. So I hope this is clear, the local and the global. So we have this function. So this function gives the scenario of a compartment of basically a mall, and here we will try to understand the local and the global scope. So how we can use it in our coding. So just a small program depicting the local scope, with the scope concept and how we can use it in a real-time use case. So this is a program. Here we are building a mall. It has 3 compartments, the kid block and the designer block and the men block. So whenever the user comes, based on whichever block the user goes, the customer goes, it will give a greeting. So it has kid block, and the intro here is the global variable. It will first tell the global variable, it will print the global variable, which is the intro, and then it will ask, it will print which within whatever it is inside the function. So let's print it. So I have printing designer block. So if it would have been kid block, the person will say, the intro is welcome to Comfy Clothes Mall, thank you for choosing us. And if it is a kid block, it will say what is your kid age. If it is a designer block, it will tell the intro like welcome to the comfy clothes, and then it will ask what is the occasion, ma'am. And it is a main block, it will play the intro, which is the global variable, and it will ask what color suit you want, sir. So now I'm printing the designer block. The customer is going in the designer block, and that's why it's printing welcome to the Comfy Clothes Mall, thank you for choosing us, what is the occasion, madam. Okay, next function. So this is a small function, understanding the global variable. We already are now familiar with the global concept, global keyword concept. So it's a greeting hello, and now I'm using it as a change greeting. So I'm changing the greeting. So I'm saying global greeting. So now what I'm doing, I'm not using the copy of the variable. Instead of, I'm directly using referencing this part. So if I'll make some changes here, it will reflect in the original variable, basically global variable. So I said global greeting, so use the global variable, and now I'm changing the greeting to the new greeting, and I'm here calling the greeting world. So it will print the greeting and the world. In the world variable we have stored this world value. So it says change greeting, and I'm saying hi. Instead of hello, it says hi. So here, because I'm using the global keyword, now I'm changing the greeting to hi from hello. So that's why when I'm printing it, instead of hello world, it is now printing hi world. Okay, next. Here a vegetables seller sells in different location. Amount is equal to amount plus cost. This is sells in city, sells in village, sells in merchandise, total sales. So I have to print total sales. So when I said sales to merchandise, so it goes to this function. The cost is 1000, amount is equal to 0, 0 plus 1000, it will be 1000. But if you can see, it is a local, it can be only alive inside this local function, that is sells to merchandise. So outside the amount, it will not, it will be still 0. So when I say total sales, I say amount is referenced before assignment. Okay. Because here I'm saying amount is equal to amount plus cost, and this, that's why it is giving local variable referenced before assignment. Fine. If I wanted to, but I have to use it, I want to update the amount, what will I do? I will use the word global. So when I'm doing it, whatever I'm directly updating this value. So when I'm calling sales to merchandise 1000, so now it is 1000 plus 0. Now it has become 1000. The amount has been updated. So when I will print it, it will say 1000. Whenever we are working with a value, like suppose you have expression and you want to work with, you need to initialize it, otherwise you cannot use it. That's why you have to use amount is equal to 0, amount is equal to 1 or something. Then only you can use in numerical expression, otherwise it will throw error. So we're clear with this function now. So let's start with another keyword, non-local keyword. We have already studied about and we have already seen the code for the global keyword. Non-local keyword is not as popular compared to the global one. So I will suggest you not to use a non-local keyword in your program that much. If it is very important, then only use it. Otherwise, try to avoid it. Okay, let's try to understand this. So it is calling the function outer. So outer is this. First number is 1. Declaring first number variable, and the value storing here inside first num is 1. Then let's go to this line. So it says inner, it's calling this inner function. So inner function, it is non-local first num. So the keyword non-local is there. I'm saying first num. Then first num is equal to 0, and second num is equal to 1. So, and it is printing second num. So second num is 1, so it is printing as 1. And here we are printing outer first number, which is the first number, first num, which is in the starting we have initialized it as 1 inside the outer function. So if you would have not used the non-local not local keyword with the variable first num, it would have printed as 1. But as you can see here, we inside the nested function in the inner function, which is the inner function inside outer function, we have used non-local first number, and means it is referencing this one, and whatever we are doing the changes here, it will be getting reflected in this one. Okay, so basically what is happening here, which is the most inside the nested function, if we are using it inside the nested function, we can use the non-local first non-local variable name of the outside function variable, and whatever changes we are making it inside the nested function, that will reflect in the outer function. Here we have two uh, inner functions. So the first one is 1. In the second inner function we have declared 0, and in the third we have declared 10. Okay, so which one has occurred? The most closest one is inner 2, because first I executed inner and then I executed inner 2. So it will take the value, the first num value, from the inner 2 function. That's why it will print it as 10. Okay. So we are clear with the non-local keyword. So let's now move to looping. Okay. So what is looping? Looping means iterating. For example, there are some tasks which every time it's happening, okay, for the same variable. Like something like, okay, just keep on printing 10 numbers. We will write print 1, print 2, print 10. You're doing the same thing again and again. So you're just doing this, it means like you're iterating this to the same thing. So what we can do, this is called basically looping, where we are iterating and doing the same task. For example, a waiter is there, it's giving the menu, it gives the menu to customer 1, it's customer 2, customer 3. So it has to do the same task again and again. So that is looping. So in Python we have two popular loops, for loop and while loop. So basically what happens in loop, we say do this task, and we specify how many times it has to be done, like 10 times. It will keep on, suppose this is a task is for the waiter, so waiter will give menu 10 times to 10 customers and will explain them the menu. So that is looping. Then we have if else. If else means a conditional statement. So it's basically checking up conditions, like if not this, then what. It's like that. So suppose you in the layman term, if I have to say, okay, what is the curry you are preparing? So if the curry is chicken, I will eat it with roti. If the curry is fish curry, I'll eat it with rice. So this is conditional statement. If the condition, then do this statements. If something, then do the statement. Else, if the condition is not meeting, else do this. Fine. So for example, if curry is chicken, I will eat it with roti. If curry is fish, I will eat it with rice. Else, I will just drink juice. So basically, if else helps us in making conditions, like understanding the condition. If suppose some condition occurs, then it helps us to take the decision. So if else actually helps in doing the decision in your coding. Then we have this keyword called import. So what is import? Import is one of the important keyword in Python. Import keyword make code in one module available in another. Imports in Python are important for structuring the code effectively. For example, just for example, I say, suppose we have food from all these states. If I want to eat it, I have to buy each state's thali, the complete set. Okay, so suppose I have to buy all these many food, and then I have to take, then I can eat it little bit from this if I want to eat everything. But what if there is a way I can just import certain food items which I want to eat instead of importing the complete thali or the complete food. Okay, if we can do that, that will be so awesome, right? We can just eat whatever we want from the specific dishes what we want from each state, and we can eat that. So that's what basically import does. So like you said, like I said, that in Python the code reusability or the coding as usual in general, code reusability is very important. You don't have to write different code for everything. If we can use it, the same code somewhere, then it is more easy because it helps us in saving our time, and it helps us in scalability. So that's why in Python we have modules or library. What are these? These are just programs, and these are programs written in our files. So we can just import the program I want, and I can start using it in my code, and it will be helpful. So I don't have to write code again, code like with the module which I am actually importing. Suppose I'm importing a module of math function, and in the math function, basically the math library, and it has a lot of function like square, cube. So I don't have to write my own function. I can directly import maths, and I can directly start using the functions or the attributes which are present inside the math library. Okay. Then there is one very important and one of the most interesting library, which is random. We have already discussed that what is a library and how we can use it. We have to use import and the library name, and we can start using that directly. Suppose I want to use the library name function, I will say library name function, whichever function I want to use. If I want to use the variable, I will say library name variable. Okay, so this is clear. Okay, now let's go back to random. So Python has a built-in model that you can use to make random numbers. So basically it gives a random number, just like how we do it with the dice. So we have a dice, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and somewhere it will be 6. Okay, so this is just like a dice only. Okay, So it just gives you when you throw a dice, it will gives you a random number. That's what this function does. Then we have user input. So user input, what it is? This function takes the input from the user and then evaluates expression, which means Python automatically identifies whether a user entered a string or a number or a list. Well, it's not necessary. You should just remember till here. Okay, so basically the function takes the input from the user. So we will just write, for example, we have a dice function, and I want the user to find what will be the value of the dice when it will be thrown. So I'll say pick and user, and I can write a small sentence also which I want to print that. Okay, enter something, enter. I'll say enter, and you can write any other function, any string you want, so the user can understand that what kind of value the user has to enter, and then then it will be assigned to this variable called pick. Suppose after executing it, it will say enter, and I have to write a value, so I'll say 2. Okay, so this is how input is used. Basically, input is used to take the input from the user. The input function is used for that. Okay, so we'll come back to the homework. First we will try to finish what we have studied just now. So let's go back to the coding, which we love. So if condition, we just studied the conditional statements. So if is used for that. So this is a list we have declared, fruit list. It has values apple, banana, cherry. So I'm saying if for x in fruits, so basically I'm iterating it. So I'm iterating for means, which is a loop. Basically for is a loop. I'm saying x in fruits. So it will x is any variable, you can write anything in here. So it's just a kind of like a variable to address single values inside this list. So for x in fruit means x is if x first it goes to apple, then it will go to banana, then it will go to cherry. It says if x is equal to banana, continue print x. Okay, so it's print apple and cherry. So what is continue? Continue means, let's go back. Continue first level. Okay, first let me tell you here only. Continue means skip this. If x is equal to banana, don't execute, just go to the next one. That's why when I am printing it, if x is equal to banana, print x, it is not happening. It is just going back to the for loop. It's not executing it. When you go to apple, it says, it checks the condition. Is x is equal to apple? No. Apple is equal to banana? No. The condition is false. So it doesn't go inside this condition. Then it just print the x. Then it goes to banana. Banana is equal to banana is true. Then continue. Continue means whatever the statements is coming after it, you don't have to execute it. Just go back to the for loop. So then it go to cherry. Cherry is equal to banana? No. Then it will go to print x. That's what continue is used for. And we have studied 3 concepts here: the for loop, the condition, and the continue. So for the for loop, again, this is one of the simple ones. We have some customers. So for customer in customers means customer will be one value, inside it will iterate over. It will go to this, it will go to the first location, which is customers, in the customer it's like Miss Seema, then in the second Mr. Lal, then Mr. Chaudhary, on and on. So for customer and customers, print welcome customers to fine dining restaurant. So this is a kind of a function. It just telling the waiter is telling the menu process that we are recreating that atmosphere here. So today's special is biryani salad. So saying welcome to Miss Seema. First it goes to Miss Seema to find dining, and it will print, and it will keep on doing that. Okay, so that's how we use the for loop. Then we have in the for loop, if we don't not using this in means like if it is inside it or not. If we have something in for loop, we can use it in a different way also. For example, range. So when I say range, it basically starts with start 0, and we can write 5 value 0 to 5. Basically it is 0 to 5. Okay, it will print x. Even if you don't assign the first value, like it's a starting point, still it will print the same thing. Basically range, it says for x is in range. Range basically tells start point to the end point. It's a range of something. Okay, so some sort of starting point it will have, and some sort of an ending point it will have. So here I am creating a range of 5 values, and it starts from 0 and it has 5 values between. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use in range in different term also. If you want to give a starting point, you can give that also. So here I have given starting point as 3 and the ending point as 6. So when I'm printing it, it's printing 3, 4, 5 instead of from 0. You can also do one more thing. If we want, like every time it is iterating 1, 1, 1. Okay, 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. What if I want to iterate 2? Like I don't want just one value to be added. I want it to jump 2 times. So here when I'm saying for x in the range, inside I'm 3, 8, 2, it means 3 is the starting point, end is the ending point, and 2 means every time it has to increment the value of x by 2. It will be 3, 5, 7. Okay. We can also have nested loops. So I have ADJ and I have fruits. ADJ is a list and fruit is a list. ADJ basically adjective and fruit is a list of fruit. So here I'm iterating in adjective, basically ADJ list, and I'm iterating also in fruit. So this is the nested function. So for x in ADJ and colon, and after that, because inside this block there will be a kind of a space indent will be there, and then for y in fruits and print xy. So you can see x is printing and y is printing. So for x, okay, let's understand it. Let's have a dry run. The first x is red. Okay, then it goes to y. So y in fruits, the first item is apple. When it printed x value was red and the y value is apple. But still it is inside the y. Okay, it's still inside the y because the y loop is inside the first loop. The first loop is for x and the second loop is for y. So then x is red, then again it will keep on iterating unless it finishes iterating in the complete fruits. Then a second fruit will be banana, and still that x is x, so it says red banana. Then it will again still the x is red, and then the third is the cherry, the red cherry. So once we have iterated on in the like all the values in the fruits, then we will go to second value in the x. This is big. Now the x is big. Now again it will start for y in fruits. So the first is apple in the y is apple in the fruit, and then that's why it will print x, which is big, the second, which is apple, big apple, and then it's big, and then the second value will be banana, as big as x, and y is not banana, and it will keep on doing for all these things. I hope it is clear. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me. Next one. This is while loop. So we have already seen the for loop, which is one of the most popular loop. Then the second loop is, which is the most popular, is the while loop. So we have count is equal to 0. I'm saying the condition I'm passing it, while count is less than 5, 0 is less than 5, print count, and then I'm iterating it by 1. Sorry, incrementing it by 1. So now it has become 1, and it will keep on doing it. When the count value will reach 5, and it's saying 5 is less than 5, then the condition is not meeting, and that's why it will not go inside the while loop. Is it clear? Okay. Program for t is an interesting thing, is that like for x in range, we are printing x. We have already seen how the range works. Here we can have an else also, else block, and we can write whatever we want to print it in the end. So basically here what happens, once it finishes printing all the x, in the end it will print this statement. It's not required, it's an optional. I'm just telling that this if you see something like this, doesn't mean it's wrong, it is right, but it's not that useful. Okay, we studied about continue, we studied about break. So we have to study about break. So what is break? Break, basically what happens, that we are saying if x is equal to 3, break from here, like go out of the loop. In continue, what we were saying, if this value equals to this, then don't execute the rest steps here, and continue from the next item. Here what we are saying, if the x is equal to the item, then just break the loop, don't execute the other loops. And that's why in the break, when we are having the else one, it will never execute the this else part, because it didn't meet the end goal. This is basically the end statement, where we are actually reaching the complete range. We are not able to do that. That's why it didn't go into the else part. Okay, now we have if else. Like we have if else means agar magar, like okay, if this happens then do this, otherwise do that. For example, our variable is 100, print 1 got a true value, print var1. Okay, so saying var1 means if the variable is true. So here I have put the variable value as 100, so variable 1 will be true. The condition is just variable 1. That's why it is able to print yes, got a true value, and it's printing the value is 100. So whenever we are just passing the variable as a condition, unless it is 0, it will print true. Okay, like you can see here, the variable value here is 0. That's why it went for the false. It went for the else one. It didn't meet the condition in if. Even it is a negative number, still if you are passing the variable, if you are passing the value, negative value in the condition, then also it is a true value. So only in the case of 0, it will print false. Okay, the only reason I'm just putting these programs because you can see these kind of programs in someone's code or maybe in the interview question, and they will ask you what will happen. So you should be able to understand and you should be able to explain. Okay, so now let's try to understand through a more realistic program for the concept of if else. So let's create, we have this problem statement where we have the salary, we have the savings, and we have the expenditure. We need to calculate how much the saving is. So we have this function calculate savings. Here we are taking arguments salary, house rent, food, others, loan. Expenditure is house rent plus food plus others plus loan, and the savings will be salary minus expenditure. If the saving is greater than 0, it will print the saving. Otherwise, it will say your expenditure is more than your earnings. You have spent savings rupees more than your salaries. Okay. So suppose I'm providing this. So I'm providing salary as 1,000. I'm providing house rent as 20, food as 500, others as 300, and loan as 500. So when I execute this, it's saying that expenditure is more than your earnings, and I've spent 320 rupees more than my salary. So you can see it is able to make a decision. If else is helped us to make a decision that what is basically happening, and based on that it is able to give us the result. Okay, next. Then again there's one more problem of break. So count is equal to 0, which is a variable. We have initialized the value 0, and it's saying while true, print is equal to count. Count is equal to count plus 1. If count is greater than equal to 5, because we are incrementing it, then break. So while true, this condition would have been infinite, like it would have kept on running because we have written while true. So it will, but we have put this break. So break means we are making a condition. If the condition is getting satisfied, then break. Like let's break this loop. So now when the count becomes greater than equal to 5, means like 5 or equal to 5, means like it has reached the 5, then it was like, yeah, the condition has met, break it, get out of this loop. And that's what happened. Okay. Then we have continue. So we have one small code for continue. So print out only odd numbers. This is the problem statement. So we have said for x in range 10, means like 0 to 10. Check. We have to check that x is even or not. So x mod 2. This is a mod operator. So basically it gives us the remainder. So if the remainder is 0, continue. Continue means just continue. Don't care about me. Just continue. Just do the next thing. So what it will do, it will go back to this loop. It will not execute this the sentence below it. Basically the statements below it. So if first it will go to 1, it will check 1 divide basically the mod 2. What is the remainder? The remainder is 1. It's not equal to 0. The condition doesn't meet. So it will print x. It printed 1. Then it will go to 2. So it will say 2 mod 2 equals to 0. Yes. If 2 is divided by 2, the remainder will be 0. It says continue. Means continue on the next iteration. So it will not execute anything after continue. It will go back to this for x, and it will increment the x. So now the x is 3. So 3 mod 2 not is not equal to 0, means the remainder is not 0, and it will print 3 and it will keep on going on. Okay, I hope it is clear. You try to execute it, try to code it, you will be able to understand a lot of concepts of you will lot of concepts and lot of doubts which you have will get clear if you start coding. Then there is one small element which is pass. Suppose sometimes I'm iterating it and I don't want anything to be done. Okay, it could be a function also, it could be anywhere. So pass is basically a keyword. We can put in any function, we can put in any loop as a statement, and what we are telling is that just don't do anything, just pass. Pass means like just pass it, leave it, don't do anything. That is what pass is used for. Next, so we talked about random. So random has a lot of functions. So we will be just working with one type of random function, and I'll be giving you some basically links so that you can just go and explore it more. So here I'm using random.randint. Here I'm importing the model random model, and it has a function called randint where we pass the starting value and the ending value. It basically states that print a random integer between the starting and the ending value. Okay, so when I run it, it will always print a random integer. So now it's printed 7. Okay, to understand it more, let's try another example. So this is our use case is to build a lottery ticket, and the lottery ticket will have 4 numbers. So we have here imported random. This is the function generate lottery number. So we have first number, second number, third number, fourth number. So random.random. So we are actually generating a value, random value between 0 to 9 for all the 4 values, for all the 4 variables, first number, second number, third number, fourth number, and then the lottery number will be this. So we are converting into string, and we're passing the first number, so the second number and third number, so that we can have a sequence. So 1 1 2 2 like that. That's why otherwise it would have not converted integer into string. When you are adding it, it would have been added like 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. We don't want that. We want 1 plus 3 should give us a sequence 1 3. That's why, and then we are returning a lottery number. The winning lottery number is, and we are calling this function. So it's like the winning lottery number is 8128. Okay. Now we will talk about input. So we will try to work with input function. We have already seen that why we use input. Input is used to take input from the user. For example, this is one code where I'm taking, and this is normal code where I'm taking input from the user. So let me just print it. And it is asking me enter your value. So I'll just say okay. So it has printed what I have printed. I printed n. So it is giving me n. Got it? Okay. So now let's combine the concept of random number, random function which we just learned, and the input. So what we are here are doing, that we are taking the input from the user and then we are checking that that user has won the lottery or not. So this is the function check my lottery. So here we will take input from the user, their lottery number, and then we will convert it into integer. So because whenever we are taking an input from the user, it will come in form of string, so we need to convert it in integer. So if my lottery number equals to lottery number, hooray, it's saying that yeah, your lottery number is fine. And the winning lottery number is lottery number and your lottery number is this. Okay, let's try it. So let's print it. So say the winning lottery, sorry, your lottery number is this, please try again, best of luck next time. Okay, the winning lottery number was 1116 and I entered 7654. Okay, let's go back to this function and try to understand it, what basically happens. So I'm taking my lottery number, I'm taking an input from the user, so I'm converting it into int because whenever we enter it, it comes in the string format, so I'm just converting into the integer. So once I am taking the input from the user, then we are getting the lottery number, which we are using the generate lottery number here, which we just created back. I was converting that into int. If you remember that we converted it into string sequence, that's why I'm converting back to integer. And then we are checking it. If my lottery number is equal to lottery number, then yeah, we have won. Otherwise, sorry, better luck next time. Okay. Let's go back and let's understand the concepts again, what we have learned so far. Okay. So we studied about loop, for, while. So for loop is for some like x, which is a kind of local variable which I'm creating it in list, maybe 7 2 5 6. So it is just going, and x will become x equal to 2, then it will become x is equal to 5, and then it will become x is equal to 6. And I will like print x, it will print 2 5 6. In while what we studied, and while it will be, we have to write a condition. Okay, while x is less than 10, suppose x was 0 before, x is less than 10, the condition is met, we will print x. Okay, and we have to increment the value, otherwise it will be an infinite loop, because x is will always be 0. We don't want that, so we'll be like x is equal to x plus 2, so it will print 0 to 6 10. Got it? So we are clear with loop. So why we use loop? To do the similar task again and again. We can even call a function inside it, we can do different steps, repeated steps inside the loop. The concept of loop is clear. Then we went to if, the conditional statement. If a condition execute, else execute. Okay, then we studied about continue and break. So what does continue? Says if x is equals to 3, okay, if x is equal to 3, continue. Print x, okay, for x in range 4. So what it will print? It will print 0, 1, 2. That's what continue does. That okay, when it meets the condition, it's like don't execute the steps after it, go back to the next element. That's what continue does. The same thing it would have been if I would have used break for x in range 4. If x equals to 3, break. Print x. Okay, let's take x is equal to 2. So what it will print? It will print 0, 1. That's it. It will not go to 2 and 3. Why? Because it says if the condition is met, just break from the loop. So that is continue and break. Then we came across random. So basically what it does, it generates a random number. Okay, good. Okay, now it's a time to put all what we have learned so far, all the concept what we have learned, and all these examples we have solved. We'll try to put that into action and develop an application, a useful application. So now we're gonna develop our own virtual assistant, basically a chatbot. If someone doesn't know about chatbot or virtual assistant, let me tell you what it is. Chatbot is, in very simple term, it is you can ask questions and get answers. You can have a conversation and get the action done. Okay, so we're gonna create our own chatbot with whatever concepts we have learned so far and see how it works. So we'll create a very simple chatbot. So here the use case which I'm taking here is I'm just trying to mimic online gas booking. So we will call and we'll try to book a refill. Okay, so we are creating a chatbot which will give us some steps, and we need to follow that steps, and we need to ask and we need to tell the chatbot what we want. This is what we're gonna do, and for this we are using the use case of getting a refill, gas refill, through basically a call. So for that we are importing a package called GTTS. GTTS is a package, so you can install it by using pip install GTTS. How we have taught you in previous videos. And what we are doing here, that we are creating a file, basically audio file, and then we are playing it, and then we are taking the user input, and based on that we are processing it. Okay, clear? Very simple. I hope everyone is on the same page. So let's start. So here is a text, what I want, the text which I want to convert it to an audio. So in the language in which I want to convert is English. So that's why language is equal to EN, which stands for English. I'm passing the text and the language to the engine, and I'm putting slow is equal to false. If you will put slow is equal to true, it will create an audio in very slow, like the voice will speak very slowly, and which will not look nice, which will not sound nice. And then we will tell the audio, and we will tell the engine to convert the audio into a high speed. High speed basically it's a normal speed here only, which is trained that do not make it as very slow. So I'm importing from GTTS, I'm importing G capital T S, and then I'm passing my text here which I've created it, and then the language here which is English. I'm saying slow is equal to false. Then I'm saving this as an audio file, and I'm playing here. So when okay, since not, let us install it. Okay, now let's play it. It's done. As I'm using collab, so it will not play here, but if you see the folder, you can see welcome.mp3 is there. Fine. So if I have to play it, it's also .pynb file. So for that, instead of using .mp3, I'll be using .wav. The only difference in mp3 and .wav is both are the sounds only, but .mp3 is compressed and .wav is not compressed. So let me tell you how.
Namaste everyone.
Okay, did you hear that? Okay, so now let's go back and to PyCharm, and let's create the use case which we have decided. So we are now familiar with what is GTTS. It's basically a library which helps us to convert a text into speech. I'm importing it. We have already learned about import. Basically what it does, that it helps us to import libraries. Library is nothing but a code, a file, and we are just importing it, and we are using the functions and the variables and the attributes from that library. So let's go and let's understand the code. I'll take you through the code line by line and explain you what is what. So I'm here importing GTTS. From GTTS I'm importing G capital TTS, and I'm importing time. Time is a library which helps us to work with a lot of time related functions. Then I'm importing OS model, and this is my welcome text. So here we have this imaginary gas providing company called Bhar Ke Gas Private Limited. So our text is welcome to Bhar Ke Gas Private Limited. For refill, press 1. For knowing the status of delivery, press 2. And to repeat, press 3. You can make the chatbot more conversational depending upon your liking. I'm just giving you a small example how to do it. So the language is English, and here I'm just passing the text and I'm creating an MP3 file of it. And then we have a register text. So I'm asking asking the user to enter the register number, and then we are converting it into the register.mp3 file. And then we have a wrong information mp3 file, and then we have a thank you mp3 file. Okay, now I'm creating a dictionary which will hold the customer's refill status. So basically the key will be the phone number. So I'm just taking the dummy values here, and I'm just in the dummy value means like these numbers are not, the dummy numbers are here, and the value for these keys will be status of the gas cylinder. So for this key, the status is gas cylinders has been delivered. For this, it is saying that we are working on to deliver gas cylinder to you as soon as possible. And for these two, the status is order not placed. Okay, so now let's create our chatbot. So I'm using global keyword which we have learned. So in this we are almost using all the concepts, most of the concepts which we have learned. I just wanted to show you a picture that these small concepts are so important, and these smaller concepts when combined together become so strong, and you can build so much powerful application with it. So it is here, it will play welcome.mp3 file. Then it will ask the user to make an input, basically enter the registered number, and based on their choice, suppose they have made a choice that they want to refill. So choice made is equal to 1. It means you have to refill. You want, then it will ask the user to enter the registered number. Once the registered number is found in the dictionary, like we will check that if the user is in our registered customer list or not. If the user is in the registered customer list, it will say okay, the user is registered, and it will change the status from this one, the order not placed, to we are working on delivering gas cylinder to you as soon as possible. Otherwise it will say wrong information entered. Suppose if the user made a choice of 2, enter 2 means that the user just wants to check the status of the order. Then what will happen? It will register. It will ask the user to register. Ask the user for the registered mobile number. Then it will take the registered phone from the number from the user, and it will check that it is in the user information or not. If it is there, then it will play the status. Otherwise it will say this it is a wrong information. Okay, this is a very simple chatbot. I just want to explain you how to create a conversational chatbot, and also I want to show you that whatever we have learned so far, how we can use it. Fine, just let's start. Let's see how it works. So I'll run this program.
Welcome to Bhar Bhar Ki Gas Private Limited. For refill, press 1. For knowing the status of your delivery, press 2. To repeat, press 3.
Okay, so I'll press 1 because I want to do a refill.
Please enter your registered number.
She's asking me to register input a registered number. Just let's take from here. So I'll take this one, as it is saying order not placed.
Your order for registered number has
been updated. Okay,
thank you for calling Bhar Bhar Ki Gas Private Limited. Have a great
day. Fine. So now it is saying that user is registered, my order has been placed. So the value was for this phone number was order not placed. Let us check here after the value has been updated. Now it is saying we are working on to deliver gas cylinder to you as soon as possible. So my order has been placed. Okay. Now when it was playing the audio, there was few this complete statement was not coming, right? It was a few words were missing. I kept that intentionally. The reason I kept it like that so that you can understand what was the need of this input time. So you will see here I'm putting time.sleep means when the system is playing the sound, this will keep on going for a few seconds. If I will play it back to back to back, it will skip few part and it will go to the another part. That's why you need to put time.sleep. It means that after this statement, for 4 seconds, no process should be executed. Okay, for 4 seconds. Then it will go for this one or maybe directly this one, thank you one. So I'm telling it so that the sounds doesn't overlap. So if the one sound is have to play and the second sound will has to be played just after that, and it is not much time. So what will happen? The first sound will get interrupted and the second sound will start playing. Okay, so you can just increase time.sleep, the number of seconds you can increase here, or depending upon how big your mp3 sound is. So we have just created our online gas refill system. Cool, right? Okay, let's do it once more. Okay, so for now I will be using this one as my key because I'm gonna go for the second option.
Welcome to Bhar Bhar Ke Gas Private Limited.
For refill, press 1. For knowing the status of your delivery, press 2.
To repeat, press 3.
Okay, so I'll press 2.
Please enter your registered number.
So I'll press this.
We are working on to deliver gas cylinder to you ASAP. Thank you for calling Bhar Bhar Ke Gas Private Limited.
So because if you will, for second option it was just to tell the status. So here you can see the status was we are working on to deliver the gas cylinder to you as soon as possible, right? So it told me the status, right? So this is how we have created our own virtual assistant, basically a text related to sound actually. Yeah, the chatbot is actually talking to you and is doing the step. It is not machine learning or deep learning related chatbot. It's very simple chatbot, and we have actually built it with the concepts we have learned so far. So it's great, and you can use it in different application based on your requirement. Fine. Okay, so now it is the time to go through some interview questions. So whatever concepts we have studied today, we will study some more interview questions related to those topics. So let's see we are able to answer that based on whatever concepts we have learned so far. Okay, so the first question is, what is Python? So Python is a high level means It has huge abstraction from machine level processing. Okay, what it means that we are usually writing in Python syntax are usually English based keywords, and we know that the processing which happens in the system in the machine language is basically using related to 0 1. So we're not writing in machine level language. We know that machine basically understands 0 1, the numeric data, not the English data. So we are writing in a high level language, means we are writing in an abstraction in some form. Basically in some form we are writing it, which is easy for a human to understand, and then that form is getting translated to machine language. Okay, so that is high level language. Second is interpreted. So this translation which is happening here, that translation, how it is happening, there are two type of translator: compiler, interpreter. So interpreter means it reads the code line by line. It reads code one line and then convert it into machine code, into machine understanding language, and then it goes to another line and then do it. That is interpreter. It interprets the code line by line. Then it is interactive. Yes, Python is interactive and object oriented language. So object oriented, basically we will study later on, but if I have to tell you in a very short way, object oriented is that we have concept of class and object, where class is a blueprint, basically a concept. It's a concept, and object is the physical form of that concept. So Python is also object oriented, so scripting language. Okay, second, what is how it is helpful, like, kind of, what if you will say, like, what are the features? So Python is designed to be highly readable. Yeah, you can understand it easily. It uses English keywords, and it has few syntactical constructions than other language. Okay, it's a fewer syntactical constructions than other language. Means if you will see some languages where they have very strict rules, Python is very flexible comparatively. So now we are clear with lot of details in Python. So even if you forget the definition, like, you can actually explain it in your words. Next, what is the usage of help and dir function in Python? So help and dir, both functions are accessible from the Python interpreter and used for viewing a consolidated dump of built-in functions. So basically they are built-in functions, and what they do, the help functions is used to display the documentation string and facilitates us to see the help related to the module's keywords and attributes. So if I have to quickly say what is help function, basically it displays the documentation string. You will pass any function or anything you want to know about. Like, suppose I want to know about str, so it will give a documentation of it, like what is it. Suppose I want to know about print function, I like help print, and it will give me that what is help. The then there is another function is dir function. It is used to display the defined symbols. So you will pass in the same way what you were passing in help. If you pass the same thing in dir, it will just gives you a list of the attributes related to that function, that object. Okay. The third question is, someone can ask you what the difference between Python 2 and Python 3. Most of us have not worked on Python 2, I think. because now we are just going to Python 3. Python 2 is almost become obsolete. So the visible difference, if I have to tell, between Python 2 and Python 3 will be print statement. In Python 2, the print statement, it didn't have this parenthesis, but in Python 3 it has parenthesis. Second is string in Python 2 is ASCII implicitly, and in Python 3 it is using Unicode. Then in Python 2 there was xrange method, which is not there in Python 3. We are just using range here in Python 3. Then they can ask you questions like, if you have worked on some other programming language which is not Python, maybe you have worked on C or Java, people can ask you that what is the difference between that and that language based on your experience. So you have to say, like for Java, if I have to compare Java and Python, I will write like Python is more flexible, syntax is less, and like in just like Java is completely object oriented. Python has the feature of object oriented, but it's not completely, okay. Python is a scripting language, Java is not. And based on your experience you can tell more points whatever you have felt. Like in Python we follow indentation, in Java there is no such rule, okay. So moving on, then there is how can you convert a number to string. So we have already seen how we can convert one data type to another data type. If I have okay, then you cannot convert it to number. But suppose if you have something like this, a is equal to, okay, this is string because it is under quotes. So if I have to convert it in number, I will just pass it like this, int a is equal to int a. In the same way, if I have to convert a number to string, I'll say number string, it's my variable, and str function, and I will just write the whichever number. Suppose I have this n is equal to 50, I'll pass n, and this will result in 50. Okay, so now it has been converted to string, and that's why it is within quotes, under quotes. Okay, then the second question is, what is dictionary in Python? The Python dictionary is a built-in data type. Okay, it defines one-to-one relationship between keys and values. So here we can store keys and value pair in the dictionary. The keys are unique, whereas values can be duplicate. Okay, and the key accesses the dictionary elements. So how we write basically dictionary? dict1 is equal to this is how we initialize it, do the initialization, and you can keep on adding it like dict1, suppose s is okay, dict, and my key is a. Okay, so we are clear with this. What is pass in Python? We saw in one of the program which we were doing it, in that code we used pass. So why we use pass? We use pass when we don't want the function, or we don't want any processing to happen. So pass specifies a Python statement without operations. This is sufficient. If you can remember this is fine. If we want to create an empty class or function, this pass keyword helps to pass the control without error. Clear? Okay. Then is explain docstring in Python. The Python docstring is a string literal that occurs as a first statement in the model, function, class, or method definition. It provides a convenient way to associate the documentation. String literals occurring immediately after a simple assignment at the top are called attributes dot strings. String literals occurring immediately after another docstring are called additional docstring. Python use triple quotes to create docstring even though the string fits on one line. Docstring phrase ends with a period and can be multiple lines. It may consist of spaces and other special characters. So docstring is basically kind of a manual for the code you are creating, the function you are creating. So for example, let's suppose I have created this function. So I will write, this is a fun function. So you can see how I have written it. I have three quotes, single quote, and I have a sentence, and then I have a dot, and just after the function I am writing it. So suppose here is a plus 5. So I am writing it before any processing which is happening. So that is docstring. So suppose someone wants to get the details of the function and wants to know what it is happening, so they can actually get information from the docstring. Second, what is slicing in Python? Slicing is a mechanism used to select a range of items from sequence types like list, tuple, and string. For example, A is 0 to 5. So it is selecting first from the from the 0th location to 5th location, all the elements between them. This is not inclusive. This is exclusive, basically, or you can say this is not inclusive. Fine. So that is slicing. So we can use slicing in tuple. You can use slicing in list. We can use it in string. It is beneficial and easy to get elements from range by using this slice way. It requires a colon which separates the start and the end of the index of the field. You can see this. All the data collection types, list or tuple, allows us to use slicing to fetch elements. Although we can get elements by specifying an index, we can get only single element, whereas using slicing we can get group of elements. Clear? Okay. What are the key features of Python? So we have already seen what are the key features. Interpreted, dynamically typed, means we don't have to specify the data type. It is, if I write a is equal to 5, it will understand that my variable is in type, basically integer type. So object oriented, it is concise, simple, free, and has a large community. Differentiate between list and tuple. So the major difference is that list is mutable and tuple is immutable. What is mutable and what is immutable? This means that list we can modify it. Okay, we can append. In tuple we can modify, but we cannot append. That is tuple. So tuple and list. Tuple is in this small bracket, we declare it. List is declared in square bracket, that is immutable, it's mutable. Okay. Why do we need break and continue in Python? Both break and continue statements that control, basically there's a control flow in Python loops. Break stops the current loop from executing further and transfers the control to the next block. Continue jumps to the next iteration of the loop without exhausting it. Fine. So break basically after when it meets a condition, it stops the processing and it comes out of the loop. And continue, what it does, that when it meets the condition, it doesn't do the further processing for that step and it goes on to the next iteration of the loop. Okay. Second, why will the do while loop work if you don't end it with a semicolon? This is a trick question. Python does not support an intrinsic do while loop. Next, what do you know about relational operators in Python? So less than, if the value on the left is lesser, it returns true. Greater than, if the value of the left is greater, it returns true. Equal, if two values are equal, it returns true. Not equal to, if two values are unequal, it returns true. So these are the relational operators. Basically we use in checking condition. When we are doing, they help us, these operators help us to evaluate condition. So for condition means, like suppose if A is less than B, this is for the less than. Then if A is greater than B, this is greater than. Then if A equals to B, and if A not equal to B. Then there is if A is in B, if A not in B. Like for example, we have seen this one. If, like suppose this is banana, apple, and this is called A. I will write for item in A. If item equals to banana, print yes. Okay, so we are clear with the relational operators. Then what are the membership operators? We just discussed it. I just discussed it as a part of relational operators because I wanted to explain you how we use it. But these operators are called membership operators. So here what we do, we confirm if a value is a member in another. And I just explained you how we use it. Explain identity operator in Python. The operator is and is not tells us if two values have the same identity. Then what is a function? When we execute a sequence of statements, we can give it a name, and that is a function. So basically you're writing a block of code and you can use it later on for a lot of purposes. So you just name it something and then keep on calling it. Okay, next is Explain Python's parameter passing mechanism. To pass its parameters to the function, Python uses pass by reference. If you change a parameter within a function, the change reflects in the calling function. This is the default variable. However, when we pass literal arguments like string numbers or tuples, they pass by value. This is because they are immutable. Okay, so now let's talk about the homework. So as you know that this challenge we want everyone to learn, and we want everyone to practice it. So we will be giving you assignments and you have to complete it. If you want us to check the assignment, you can contact us and we will give you feedback. And if you complete it successfully, you will win some prizes in the challenge. And this is a 4-month challenge, as you are aware about. So we will give 2 homeworks or assignment, which will include challenges also every month, and you have to finish it and provide us what you have finished it so far. Homework, this is optional. So we studied random number Python package. So how we actually generate a random number, that program we wrote. So I want you to find out that how this Python package is generating a random number. This is an optional, it's just it's a research kind of question. So if you can do it, I'll be very happy. Second is this: go to this site. All the sites will be provided from whichever sites I have made the notes. Also those sites also I will be provided. They are excellent sites. So you have to go through this site and you have to finish 1 to 30 programming questions. Don't copy it completely. Maybe the solution is given there, but you don't have to copy them. You try it. If you don't understand them, then you can see the answer and try to solve it. But always try to give your inputs. Try to change the code a little bit so that you understand the concept. Okay, the third challenge is basically it's a challenge question. Those were the homework assignment. These are the challenge question. So you have to make a chatbot, a virtual assistant, which acts as a waiter and take orders and also suggest the specialty, which is a special dish, to the customers, and get the customer bill and update the sales in the global dictionary. Or you can take any other data type. So that is open. It's up to your imagination, creativity, your flexibility. You can choose any data type. You have to make a scenario like this. So it will be a chatbot, and it can take customers' input, and it's update after telling them the whatever the customers can order. After telling the menu, they will have to take the orders from there, and whatever the prices of that orders with the customer has given, you have to update that in the global register. Okay, instead of dictionary, let me call it a register, so that the hotel will know that okay, how many sales have happened online. Okay, next is there are n number of contestants. Randomly assign them position at which they will perform in the talent competition. Clear? So for example, there is a show called Indian Idol and there are 10 contestants. Just assign them position when they have to perform and do it randomly. So if you don't have a laptop or computer, you can use, there are a lot of sites where you can code it directly, and you can use your phone. I'll not recommend it, but if you don't have any other choice, then you can check out these sites. They provide you a platform where you can type your code and see the result.